Okay, good. Please excuse the filming and stuff. We are, this is I'm teaching a very famous book. It's called Lam Rim. And this is an ancient Tibetan custom. My teacher taught it to me for over 25 years. And it was written, this particular book was written by the teacher of the Dalai Lama, who was my teacher's teacher. And it's sort of like a dummy's guide to enlightenment. Recently we were printing something, and we bought some new printers because we thought we would save some money. We were printing this book, and so we bought printers because the printer wanted like a lot of money to print them, and we said, oh, we could do it cheaper. So we bought these new fancy printers. Then we thought, well, at the end it will be cheaper and we'll have a printer. And then I don't know about you, but when I get those big boxes, they tape the instruction booklets to the top, and then I just tear it open and take it out of the box and try to figure it out. I don't read those things. If it's possible, Becky, it'd be good to sit down for you. Just for people, I don't know. As much as you guys can sit down, it'd be nice. But you don't have to if you have to run something. So anyway, then the printer doesn't work and you have to read the manual. And nowadays they make them in 16 languages, but there's a picture and the picture has a number. And I'm really impatient. I just want to print the stuff, but I have to stop and slow down and look at picture number 1, and it says open the box. And then this picture number 2 says read the manual, and like that. So try to imagine a manual like that for the process of becoming enlightened. Okay? And that's what we're studying. Lam Rim means that. It means after 2,500 years, and in Buddhism didn't get less pure every century, it got more pure, and it got more clear. So Buddha was, enlightened. He spoke in very high language. His students were almost enlightened. So when we read those books, it's like impossible. So what has happened over the centuries is that the teachings have gotten more and more clear. And then 1,000 years ago, a kind of literature was invented called Lam Rim. And it's the manual on top of the printer. And it just says, okay, number 1, do this. Number 2, do this. And if you just follow the instructions, by the time you get to the end, you will be enlightened. Okay? And that's the claim, and I believe it. And I was trained in it for many, many years. And I've taught a lot. I've been teaching for, I don't know, almost 40 years. But I wanted to pass on this transmission. In Tibet, it's considered important to pass on the blessing that I received from my teacher when my teacher taught this thing to me. So in my life, I would like to pass on these teachings, and then I would like you to pass them on to somebody else. That's my dream, is that I will teach you this manual, printer manual, and you will pass it on to the next generation. That's my hope. And I really hope that you will do that. Okay. Then we spend a lot of time, we go around the whole world. Half of my time is spent going to 25 countries, 25 cities in the world, and teaching people how to apply these principles in real life. So we simplify them, we present them in a business context or relationship context or wellness context, but then I don't get to teach the real stuff or, the original book. So 4 times a year, I take a vacation, and for 10 days straight, I do it the old way. And for me, it's very satisfying and it makes me really happy. So these are not, we're going to go deep into the subject, and the whole thing will take, I think, 14 years. We're on year number 3, I think. 4. We're starting the 4th year, I think. 3rd year? I don't remember. Anyway, we got 12 years to go. And I'm just going slowly through the original. And to me, it's just really beautiful. Like, to me, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. I don't think everyone finds it that way. But for me, it is. And I'm following the original Tibetan text because I want that also to be recorded. At least, I was very fortunate that I met the great lamas from Tibet when they came out. They're dead now, they're gone. But I was trained by them. So I want to pass that on. I want it recorded for people who come in later generations. So that's why we have the cameras up. And I apologize. They'll be getting up and down and making sure they're not filming my right ear. And please be patient with that process, okay? I know it's not conducive when you're in a spiritual class to have someone jumping up and down, but I think it's important for later generations. And we have many groups in other countries and many students in other countries who, unfortunately, because of the American border policies, cannot come to these courses. Once a year, we do the course in Guadalajara, Mexico, largely so that friends from other countries like China or Argentina or Bulgaria, they don't have to go through this very unpleasant process of trying to get into this country and for a spiritual program. But we're filming it, and we're trying to do a good job filming it so that people in other countries who cannot get into this country for a spiritual program will have the chance to see them. Okay? So please put up with the camera stuff. It also irritates me, okay? Then we started this program. This is the 7th course, so it must have been, this is the 4th year. This is the beginning of the 4th year. And in the last 3 years, we went through a very deep part of the course. We went to the end for good luck. We went to meditation and how does reality work? And we covered those subjects. I'll be doing them again in 12 or 13 years. Inshallah. God willing. But in the meantime, we spent about, I think, 1.5 years or 2 years on a thing called Jorchu. And that's, Jorchu means, Jor means to get ready for something or to prepare for something. And Chu means practices. So these are 6 traditional practices that a Buddhist in this tradition, the tradition of the Dalai Lamas, should do before a meditation session. There are 6 tricks you can use before you meditate that will throw you into a deep meditation immediately. And if you know them, you can have extraordinary experiences in meditation. They've been developed for 2,500 years. And the Buddha taught them originally. So we went through the 6 preparation tricks for getting into a deep meditation. During that 2 years of teaching, we often heard the author of this book, the teacher of the current Dalai Lama, and my teacher's teacher, we heard him often referring to a song, a meditation song that his teacher had written, called Jampel Thundup Gyatso. If you can't remember that, you can say Dakpo Rinpoche, okay? Say Dakpo Rinpoche. Sometimes I'll ask you to repeat Tibetan because I want to teach it to you in your next life, okay? Dakpo Rinpoche, okay? So Dakpo Rinpoche, the teacher of the author of this book, wrote a thing called the meditation song. And in that text, he wrote a song, verses of poetry, which could be sung before you do your meditation. So it's a pleasant way to do your warm-up or your 6 preparations for a meditation session in this book called The Meditation Song. So he kept referring to it, but he didn't explain it in detail. He just kept saying, as the song says, but he didn't tell you the song. So I was getting frustrated personally, and I thought, well, let's stop for 10 days. Let's stop for one session, and let's go study the song together. And then we'll go back to the main text. That's why it's going to take 14 years for this thing, because I'll keep adding new stuff. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. My teacher, his teacher was the Dalai Lama's teacher. The Dalai Lama's teacher wrote out, he was the editor of the main book we're studying for 12 years. And he would not teach us the higher Buddhist teachings unless we memorized the meditation song. He required us to memorize this song. He thought it was that important. And I can remember, I cooked for him for many years, and I would be standing in the kitchen making waffles or whatever, and I would recite it to myself while I was cooking. And so for me, it's very dear. I learned this when I was 23 or 24. I had to memorize it. So me and a team of friends, we spent the last, 6 weeks translating it. And then we we typed it out in Tibetan. People here typed it in Tibetan language. Other people checked it in Tibetan language. Other people put it into pronunciation in Western letters. And then other people translated it. And then a great team from Guadalajara. Our best students are from Guadalajara and Mexico City. But they worked really hard and they laid it out in Guadalajara. And then another team in Sedona spent 3 horrifying days, all day and night, printing it, lots of adventures. And then another team drove like 8 hours to get it to the printer and the binder. And so this book is finished, and it looks like this. We printed, because we were depending on the registration numbers, we started with 100 copies. And we just finished the first 3 days of this program were held at our university outside of Tucson. And the 100 copies went already. We were short. So we have a team which is going to print 50 more tonight and tomorrow, I guess. Right? Where are you, team? You can have 50 done by tomorrow night, or you think? Or Thursday night? You'll see. You'll try. Costco will try. Okay? And it's our dream to give it away. So we're just giving it away to whoever shows up. Okay? Can I just see a show of hands of people who would like a book? Because it would help us to... Nicole, can you do a quick count? Keep your hand up until your neighbor looks unhappy or... Cool? How many? Okay, good. So maybe we make 75 more or something. I don't know. Okay. All right. We'll try to get it to you by tomorrow night, or at worst by Thursday. Okay? And Scott and Oreed have kindly prepared some traditional Tibetan cloths, book cloths, to wrap the books in. Do you have more Okay, good. Okay. It's a tradition to wrap an important book in cloth in Tibet, so that when you sit on the ground to do your meditation and you set it down in front of you, the book isn't touching the ground, which is considered disrespectful in a country where yaks are pooping all over. Got it? All right. It's a beautiful, beautiful text. So what I'd like to ask is if people could show it to their neighbor if the neighbor doesn't have one, okay? Or share, just sort of try to make sure everybody can look at one, okay? This is a test of your Buddhistness. Also, those of you, we have added 20 pages of blank paper at the end. That's so that you can take notes, okay? And so that the notes are forever connected to the book. And that's because it's in Tibet, it's considered your responsibility to pass this book on to the next person, to teach it to the next generation, maybe even translate it into Spanish and print it. So, or whatever you're from. So, in our lineage, it's considered important that you take good notes and you be ready to pass it on to the next person without much loss in the transmission. Okay? So I'm asking you to take careful notes, especially if you are teachers. And if I'm sorry we don't have enough copies, but if you have a copy, take the notes in the copy, so it will always be with you. Okay? If you've given up your copy, then take notes on a piece of paper and glue it to the book later or something. Okay? But I really want you, by the end of the week, to have a copy which is complete in its notes. Okay? Because you have to teach it to the next generation. When you are teaching other people to meditate, this is the best place to start. You start with these 6 things, okay? That's a very ancient tradition. We don't believe that you can meditate without doing these 6 preparations, okay? That's just our lineage, okay? So, I'm going to teach you the 4th part tonight, and then as we go through this part, which is only one of the 10 parts of this week, I would like you to have in mind how you could see this done in a performance, like which parts that I cover tonight would go well as a dance, or would go well as a song, or would go well as someone reading a piece of poetry from Hafiz, or something like that, okay? So, as we go through tonight's lesson, I'm asking you, each of you, to keep your eyes out for something that would be fun to interpret. And then I'll ask you at the end of the night, and you tell me, oh, that would go well as a dance, or I could see that done to a Lady Gaga song that I know, or something like that, okay? All right? Got it? All right, here we go. I'm going to start on verse number 7. So I'll be referring to verses and not page numbers. Don't look at the bottom of the page. Look at the side of the page, and you'll see a number. So I'm going to just repeat this section. It's page 9 if you're interested. Verse 7, okay? Here we go. We've already completed the first 2 preparations for meditation. The first of those is to straighten up your room, straighten up the meditation space, and set up an altar. Altar means you can have a photo of your personal teacher. It could be your 6th grade teacher, could be your dog, could be your parents, could be your lama, and whoever, it could be your children. Put a photo there of who you believe in is teaching you. Put some kind of offering, a flower or something. The first step is clean your room, clean the meditation space, make it look nice, and then set up an altar. Step number 2 is, and put some offerings out, right? Sorry. Step number 2 is put the offerings on the altar, okay? Typically a flower, or some water bowls, or your favorite cookie, because you get to eat it after it's offered. And that's step number 2. Step number 3 is to prepare your meditation seat in the traditional way and take the traditional meditation posture. So we've covered those 3 already in the last 3 days. If you weren't there and you want the poop on that, then talk to Nick and Aaron. You ready? Raise your hands. And they can help refer you to someone who can give you a private transmission, okay? It's very important to know how to set up your meditation seat. It's important to know the traditional 7 points of posture in meditation. It's important to know those things. So if you missed the last 3 days, talk to Nick and Aaron or Rob and Esther. Where are you guys? Talk to them and they can help you, okay? Don't be shy. During the break, we'll take a break, right, tonight? You hope. And during the break, don't be shy. I mean, you should know how to meditate. And there are certain traditional postures, ways to set up your seat and things like that. You should know them, okay? Don't be shy. This is your chance. We're not covering this again for 15 years, okay? Part of the third preparation, after you take your seat properly and sit down properly, which is shown with the little girl. Can you show me that? You guys got that? Yeah. She's in proper posture. Once you have prepared your body physically, you should prepare your heart for meditation. Okay? There's a warm-up. It's like running a race. You can't run a race without stretching your hamstrings, and you can't meditate without kunlong chupa. Kunlong chupa means preparing your motivation. Okay? Setting your motivation for the meditation session. It's very similar to doing a yoga session. You know, you get a lot more out of it if you dedicate it to someone at the start and during Shavasana at the end. So I'm going to start covering tonight the traditional inner preparations for meditation. And there are two. There are two traditional meditations within. One is called going for shelter. Okay? Protection. Like, I like to call it the umbrella, you know. It's not very relevant in Arizona, but if you lived in New Jersey, which is where I lived for a while, you have to have an umbrella. You carry around an umbrella all the time, because sometimes you won't need it. Okay. So, here we go. This is verse 7. This is a visualization that you do with your eyes closed, okay? But you can sing it first, and then close your eyes and visualize it, okay? Don't forget, starting now, you are thinking what would be a nice interpretation of this, okay? And it doesn't mean you have to do it if you suggest it. You can say, someone who can dance should dance that one. Okay? Here we go. Standing before me in midair is a jeweled throne held aloft by 8 mighty lions. It is high and wide, and upon it sits a cushion of a multicolored lotus and the discs of the moon and sun. So in Tibet, the moon and the sun and the earth were thought to be discs, flat discs. And if you sailed too far off the disc, you would fall off. So the moon and the sun were... And by the way, the word for that disc in Sanskrit is what? Mandala, okay? The word for that disc is mandala. Mandala means a disc. So we picture this holy being sitting on 2 cushions of the moon and the sun, all right? The moon represents compassion and love for other people, cool light, okay? The sun represents the burning power of a person's intellect, who understands reality deeply. Okay? So the moon is love and the sun is wisdom. And this being is sitting on them because this being has both of them, mastered both of them. Okay? Next page. And you're going to see, can you put up the picture of the Buddha's hand? We have put photos in the book, which you're going to get to remind you of what you're supposed to be thinking about at that point in the preparation for meditation. I'll read from the text. Upon the throne sits a holy being. Inside there my heart Lama, who has been so kind to me. Outside there the Buddha, Lord of the Shakya clan, victorious one, with a body shining like molten gold. Their hair is tied up in a knot. They have 1 head and 2 arms. Their right hand presses the earth. Their left hand is held in the gesture of meditation. So to prepare in this tradition, in this lineage, before you meditate, you picture in your mind an enlightened being. Okay, we use Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, we use the Buddha. Why? To remember where these teachings came from. All right, and it's not that we are worshiping the Buddha. Okay, it's not like that. It's not that you have to be a Buddhist to do this preparation. We are not worshiping a person. We are recognizing who gave us these teachings, who granted us these teachings. Okay? So traditionally we picture the Buddha. Okay? And let's see. The 8 lions have a meaning. I'm not going to go through it because it would take an hour. Okay? And we don't have time. What I thought would be interesting to you is to tell you why the person you picture. By the way, if you have a teacher, if it could be your parents, I have a 6th grade teacher who was very important to me. I have other friends who I see as teachers. So you can picture this Buddha as them. That's okay. All right? It's important, it's considered important that their right hand is hanging out over their knee and touching the ground, okay? And that's the picture you see here. That's called Sannin Chakya. It means, it has meaning. It's a mudra. It's a symbol of something higher. So when the Buddha is touching the ground with the right hand, it has a meaning. It means they have overcome certain demons or certain forces in the world. So I thought you'd like to know the four demons, okay? The reason the Buddha's hand is like that, and the reason whoever you picture as your teacher could have their hand on the ground, okay? Picture them as having their hand on the ground. Why? They are like pushing down 4 forces in the world which are negative. They have overcome those 4 negative forces. Okay, here they are. Number 1, Saibudu. This means getting distracted in your life. Okay, getting distracted in your life from the spiritual side of life. Okay, you should have a job. You should have a career. You could have a family. A partner is considered very good in Buddhism. You should have a life. But you shouldn't ignore the spiritual side of life also. You should spend a certain amount of your life, your day, should be devoted to spiritual things. Because all life ends in death. And only the spiritual things can help you in the end. Okay? Get ready for what will come. And don't spend all of your life only on your job and your family and things like that. Try to also pay attention to your spiritual needs. There was a custom in this country. When I was a kid, I grew up in Phoenix. And Sunday was a very, what do you call it? It was a sacred day. It was like Shabbat in Israel. Friday night in Israel, right? People stop driving cars. If you drive a car around Jerusalem on Saturday, you get rocks thrown at the car in the old days by the Jewish people, not the Palestinian people. Okay, and it was sacred. Even when I was growing up in Phoenix, you go down Central Avenue and there's churches all the way down. I used to go to one of them for many, many years, and it was wonderful. Sunday was reserved for spiritual stuff. And they had blue laws. Blue law means you can't open a business on Sunday. So everyone was sort of forced to go to church or at least reflect on the spiritual side of their life. That custom has gone. It's changed. It's not really there anymore. But think about it. A certain part of your life should be reserved for spiritual things. It could be an hour every morning. It could be Sunday. But set aside some part of your life. You're very busy. Your work is very important. Your career is compelling. But but have the wisdom to set aside something to get ready for later, okay? And to, what do you call it? Recharge your life, to give your life meaning, okay? So if you don't do that, you have the demon of destruction. And if you can overcome that demon, then you can have your hand on the ground, your right hand, okay? It means, I take my Sundays off, thank you. I made Wednesday. I had a big career for 19 years. I was a big executive, but I took Wednesdays off. I closed my own immediate department on Wednesdays. I took off. And that was my spiritual day. And they couldn't buy it I didn't do anything on that day. I did my meditations and things. Take one day. Then you can hold your hand down. Okay? You beat the first demon. What's the second demon? Pungbadu. Pungbadu means mortal body, mortal coil, human body, flesh and blood body. Okay? In this life, during the course of your life, it's a worthy goal to overcome the mortal body. Okay? Can you overcome a body of flesh and blood? Okay? I mean, in the Christian tradition, Jesus did that, right? Overcame the blood and bone and flesh and body. In the Buddhist tradition, we are all meant to do that in our lifetime. During our lifetime, we should meditate, we should learn practices that will take us to the body of an angel, okay? On the day that you reach that, you can hold your right hand on the ground and say, I beat demon number 2. I am no longer locked into a physical body which will die and get old, okay? It's sort of a race against time, okay? The body's quite good at falling apart like an old car. And as each year goes by, more and more parts will fail or get old or worn out. I'm starting a honeybee hive this year, I hope. I bought the hive. I'm trying to get the bees. You have to buy them. They are $90 for 3 pounds, which is 10,000 bees. And that's enough to start a hive. And then you have to go out and dump them into the hive, which is fun. And I was reading, my approach is to read every book about beekeeping. The worker bees, they only live for 6 weeks. In the summer, at the height of the hive, there are 60,000 bees are born out of the 10,000 bees in the start of the spring. And then they go out and collect honey. And I think each teaspoon of honey takes 10,000 flowers or something like that. Each bee in their lifetime will make 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. And they will fly for 6 weeks, and they will fly their wings off. And they will kill themselves to feed the new bees. They will die on the ground, and they won't be able to get back to the hive, and they will freeze. Or they'll starve. And all honeybees are that way. They fly their wings off, and they die within 6 weeks to serve the hive, And they travel 6,000 acres, 2 to 3 miles every day, And we are like honeybees. We live a little longer, but you will fly your wings off, okay? You are like that. We are like that. You will walk your legs off, and you will wear your hands off, and you will die, okay? Everybody does that, all right? So our practice is meant to transform the body before we die. If you master that through meditation, you can hold your hand on the ground. And then you've beat the second demon of this flesh and blood demon, okay? Then you reach number 3. Number 3 is you defeat the demon of death, okay? You don't have to die anymore, right? People say, I never saw anybody who didn't die. Maybe you have to be a really good person to be able to see them, okay? We believe that. We believe if we were good enough, we could see them, okay? That's a long story. We'll talk about it. You don't want the pen again tonight. Demon number 4 Nyomongbe means negative thoughts, desire, jealousy, anger, irritation. Mine is jealousy. I don't know. There are 84,000 negative thoughts in Buddhism. Okay, we all have some of them. The practice of Buddhism is meant to help you overcome those thoughts. And if you practice well, then by the end, you are incapable of anger. You cannot get irritated with anybody. Okay? It's not possible. Or you cannot get jealous. Okay? You reach a point where you're beyond those things completely. The person who most irritates you, even if they put their heart to it and worked on it for 3 weeks, couldn't get you irritated. Okay? When you reach that point, you can hold your hand on the ground. And you have defeated the fourth demon. Okay? Remember, by the way, we are in the back of your mind, what are you supposed to be thinking about as we go through this? Yeah, how would I interpret that? Those four. You know, could I do a dance where it touched the ground and, you know, or could I show it in a film, in a 2-minute film, or could I show it in a photographic essay, or could I play a song that represents, okay? Keep that in mind, because that's what you have to do by Sunday. All right. We'll continue on. Well, let's pause here. Upon their left hand, this is verse 11, rests a sage's bowl filled with the nectar of immortality. All right. That nectar is called what in Sanskrit? Amrita. Okay. People mispronounce it as Amrita. I don't know why. It's Amrita. Okay. Mrt came into English as mortuary, mortal. Means not. Okay. Amrita means nectar. Nek means death in Greek, necrophilia. Tar means to go beyond. Tara is the teacher who teaches us to go beyond. Nectar means amrita. Okay? They have a bowl in their left hand, and in that hand is nectar. Okay? Traditionally, there will be a gesture like this. This is called a mudra, a sacred gesture. Okay? There will be this gesture with their right hand, and then there will be a left hand, there will be a bowl of nectar of immortality. Okay? And in this visualization, at one point you will see your teacher like this, and they are holding a bowl of nectar. And then they say, this gesture, what we call a mudra, a sacred gesture, this one means I'm teaching you. Okay? This is the traditional gesture of teaching. When you see a statue or a painting that has the lamas like this, it means the Lama is teaching. Okay, the right hand at the heart in this gesture means teaching gesture. And then in the left hand typically is a bowl of nectar, and they are connected. See what I mean? This gesture leads to this one. See, learning the sacred wisdom takes you to immortality. Okay, immortality, by the way, I mean, let's talk about immortality. Amrita, immortal, right? It's not like, I always used to think of like these terrible horror movies where somebody lived for 5,000 years and they got more and more wrinkled. And I mean, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to be immortal, you know, like I would be more bald and more wrinkled, and I don't want to live for 5,000 years. But it doesn't mean that. When you reach that state, your body turns to light, and then that body can go to different worlds and help many people, okay? And that body can take any form. It can be a dog, it can be a cat, it can be a human, it can be a tree, it can be the ocean. See, that's a fun body. So don't think, I don't want this immortality stuff because it just means I get older. It's not like that. It's freedom from a form. And you can be anything you want. That will help people, okay? That's amrita. And the teaching leads to it, okay? And there's a beautiful teaching on this also, that This gesture means, please study, please learn this wisdom, please learn the deeper things, please learn the spiritual things, okay? Learn what you're supposed to be doing spiritually. And then this hand is on the Buddha's lap. You can see it in the picture. The left hand is on the Buddha's lap. That's a meditation gesture, okay? They're in meditation. The left hand means do what I taught you. Practice it. The right hand means learn. The left hand means do it. Don't just learn, do it. Don't learn the meditation song. Learn it and then meditate, okay? Like, I have friends who have mastered this song and they don't meditate. The purpose of this song is to prepare you for meditation. So you gotta have both. You can't meditate without knowing how. And if you know how and you don't meditate, it doesn't count for anything. It's not gonna help anybody. You gotta have both. That's why Lord Buddha's hands are often like this, okay? And when you picture your own teacher at this point, you can have their hands like that, okay? You can be careful how you picture your teacher's hands and let them have meaning, okay? That's the point. All right. Those of you who are interested in how are we doing on time? If you're interested at this point in the original scripture, Pabongkur Rinpoche says there's a way you can interpret this image of the Buddha as including the 4 modes of a teacher. The 4 modes of a teacher. And he drops it. He says, you figure it out. Okay, what are the 4 modes of a teacher or a good parent? Shi, Ge, Wang, Tat. Okay, say Shi, Ge, Wang, Tat. Shi, Ge, Wang, Tat. Shi, Ge, Wang, Tat. She means a good teacher or a good parent should know how to be sweet to their student, smiley. The Dalai Lama when he comes to the West, and not when he comes to my monastery. Okay? In the West, he's like, like very friendly and supportive and kind and warm. Okay, that's she. First mode of a good parent. First mode of a teacher. Second mode, Ge. Ge means generous, like outgoing, gets everybody involved, has a big waffle breakfast. Like everyone feels like, I'm in this project, generous. I don't know how to say it. How do you call that? Effusive, like just joyful maybe, something like that. Like, let's have a party, let's have a Dharma party, let's stay up all night and print books on these printers that don't work, and then you just have fun. That's the second mode, like a cheerleader mode, okay? Cheerleader mode. Second mode of a good parent, second mode of a good teacher. Wang, number 3, powerful. When the Dalai Lama comes to our monastery, he's yelling at us the whole time. He's like a tough guy. He's push you. A good teacher pushes you, okay? You talk to those Olympic athletes, there's not one that doesn't have a good coach. And there's not one coach who didn't push them, push them hard. The better the student, the harder you can push them. And then if they're not so good, you have to use the smiley thing, take them out to movies, second one. But if they're a fine student, if they have a strong heart, you can push them. And those people have, what do you call that? Aptitude. Good raw material, then the Lama should push them to make them more, okay? And it's not fun. It's hard. My teacher didn't say one good thing about me for 20 years, 25 years. I complained one day. My friends came from my workplace. They said, we got to meet your teacher, after like 10 years of working together. They're like, we want to meet your teacher. I said, okay, you can come to our house, but just be aware, he's never said anything good about me for the last 10 years, 20 years, And then they went up to meet him, and I was all nervous, they all came down, and I said, what do you say about me? And they said, he said you're the most wonderful student he ever had. I'm like, are you sure? And He never ever said anything like that to me. So, I mean, if the student is strong enough, the Lama should push them like a good athlete. You should kick their ass, get them going, okay? So that, and a good parent should demand more of their child, if they're strong enough to take it, okay? Chak, okay, fourth mode. Chak means fierce. Fierce, like gets angry or pretends to get angry, okay? If you have a child who constantly crosses a dangerous street, there may be necessary a day when you spank them, okay? Same with a Buddhist student, okay? If they're strong enough, and for number 4, they have to be even stronger. They have to be really devoted, not to quit when you discipline them, okay? It may be necessary. If the student is close enough to you that you can discipline them severely, strongly, and they will rise higher. A good student will rise higher, okay? If you ask them, step number 3, to do something very difficult, and they fail or they give up, then you punish them, okay? And a good student will transmute into gold. At that point, they will become true gold. That process, the 4 stages, will make a golden student. And the same with an Olympic athlete, okay? My coach, I had a coach, I did rowing in college. I was in a boat that won the Henley the next year. I wasn't there. They won the Henley, and my boat that I wasn't in. And, but our coach was ruthless. Our coach was brutal, But after we won the Henley, we were like, this is the Super Bowl of rowing. And, we were like, our coach is, Joe Schmo, and we won the Henley, So a really good student can handle it, all 4 modes. Now, why am I mentioning these 4 modes? First of all, I think it'd make a cool dance or a cool song, or maybe someone could play 4 songs and they start out with smiley and they go to punishing mode. Okay. You think about it. I want something creative from all of us. Together, by Sunday, maybe someone interprets the 4 modes. When we get to the part about the Buddha's hands, okay? This part, verse, 10, okay? When we hit verse 10, maybe someone could play 4 songs, or they could have 4 paintings up. You could paint something. You can do a poem, You could go smack everybody. I don't know. Okay. But Pabonka Rinpoche's homework at this point is you figure out how this represents the 4 modes. You figure out how the Buddha is sitting itself, hidden in the way the Buddha sits, are the 4 modes. And he doesn't give us an answer. And I don't know what they are myself. Okay? All right? Okay. Let's go about 10 more minutes. I'll give you a break, okay? All right. And we'll have refreshments. Draped upon verse 12. Draped upon their holy body are the robes of russet gold. Their body is adorned with the marks and signs of an enlightened being. Their body is made of crystal light. Next page. Their 2 legs are folded in the lotus posture, and they sit in the center of a mountain of light that pours from their own body. Around my Lama sit my own personal teachers and the teachers of the lineage. When you picture the Buddha or whoever you picture, on the outside, they may be the historical Buddha. On the inside, they're always your personal teacher, your heart teacher, okay? In the form of a Buddha. If your teacher is a woman, you can picture Tara, okay? You can picture a white angel, okay? If it's your mother or your sister or your daughter, or your teacher is if your Lama is a lady, then you can picture Tara, okay? Hands should be the same, right? They are surrounded by gatherings of close angels, Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, warriors and their angels, and protectors of the teachings, and the guardians as well. I think it'd be interesting if someone interpreted what it would be to be a guardian, okay? We're going to have to cut a lot of them, okay? We won't have time for 500 of them, but we'll see. Set in front of each of these holy beings is an exquisite cushioned stand, and upon each stand rests each of the teachings each teacher has ever given. The physical Dharma in the form of a book made of light itself. Okay. Maybe someone could figure out how to make a painting of a book of light, or I don't know, or a video. See, that's you pick something which calls to you. Each person in this room should try to read through this book tonight and tomorrow and find something that calls to you. Like, I want that part. Okay? And then tomorrow we start fighting over the parts. Okay? 17, page 15. Each being in this garden of karma is extremely pleased with me. So when you visualize your teacher in front of you, by the way, they are in midair, okay? They are floating in midair before you. Traditionally, it's a little higher, like at the level of this chakra. And that's supposed to influence this chakra, okay? So they are here. You don't picture them down. You don't picture them up too high. Traditionally, they are floating in midair at the level of this chakra. And we call them the garden of karma, okay? Your teacher is a karma garden. Why? Huh? Yeah, it's where you can plant good karma, okay? Your teacher, meaning your mother who taught you, someone in school who taught you, a priest or a rabbi who taught you, someone who taught you your career, people who have mentored you through your life. These are very powerful karma. Anything you do to help them is extremely powerful karma, okay? So we call them karma garden, okay? Your mom is a karma garden. Your dad is a karma garden. Whether you like them or not, it doesn't matter. Whether they were nice to you or not, it doesn't matter. They suffered to bring you into this world, and they suffered to bring you up. So for you, they are karma garden. You can go there to that place and plant your flowers, because that's powerful soil, okay? I too am overwhelmed with they are extremely pleased with me, okay? In this part of the visualization, you are supposed to imagine that this being who you are visualizing, again, it could be your mother or your lama or your sister, if they've been particularly inspiring to you. Then in the visualization, you are supposed to imagine that they are like extremely happy. Like, they're just like, you know, like your mom on a good day, you know, it's like, you know, I had this thing, you know, when I was a kid in high school, they chose me to go to the White House and meet the president. I'm not even going to tell you which president, because then you'll know how old I am, but okay, it was Nixon, all right. And so I got this telegram from the White House, and you should have seen her face, you know, she was like, yeah, all these years struggling with you. Now, and then the scripture at this point says, why is your lama so pleased? Why do they have a big dumb smile on their face and they're so happy with you right now? Because finally you're meditating, okay? All right? When you visualize your lama in meditation, they always have a big smile. Because you're not out eating a big breakfast at Good Egg, or, you know, you're not out watching a movie, or you're not out wasting your time. You are meditating. So they're like, yes, okay? Just before you meditate, you're supposed to picture your teachers like, good job, you got on your mat, you got on your meditation cushion, I love you. Okay, like that. You're required to think that, okay? All right? That's a big part of the preparation, all right? Okay. I too am overwhelmed with devotion, just thinking of the fine qualities and the kindness of everyone here in the garden, okay? So you picture the most important people in your life, the people who have been most kind to you, who have helped you the most, and that's a karma garden. So include them in the picture, okay? Is this meditation? No, this is preparation for meditation. Is this an Olympic race? No, it's warming up before the race, okay? Can you run an Olympic race without warming up? I don't think so, okay? And you can't do meditation without warming up your heart. That's what we're doing, okay? So we've got the picture right, and next we're going to take shelter. We're going to warm up our heart for meditation with a practice which is called taking shelter. And we'll do that after the break.